Bonjour. Today we're going to be looking at how to conjugate IR verbs, specifically long IR verbs, also known as regular IR verbs. When we conjugate this particular type of verb, I like you to envision a snake, un serpent, because as you start to hear the conjugation, we are going to hear for some of these subject pronouns, we will hear that S, and it does start to sound a little snaky at times. So keep that snake visual in mind as we go through this. Take a moment and review your list of long IR verbs. There are others, but this is a very commonly used list. And keep in mind that IR verbs is our second largest regular verb group in the French language. So if you need to stop and pause and review those, please do so. Next, how do we conjugate an IR verb? Well, it's the same rules that we had when we conjugated an ER verb. We're going to drop our ending. So in this one, we say chop off the IR, chop off the snake's head. Oh la la, kind of morbid. And then we're going to add the right ending to match the person. So take a moment and familiarize yourself with those different endings and matching them to the subject. We're going to write them down in our notes here in just a moment on the next slide. So looking here at this slide, and probably take a moment, stop and pause it so that you can write these into your notes. But when we conjugate a long IR verb, step one, drop off the IR off the end, and then add the appropriate IR verb endings, which are es, ite, ess, ons, ess, uz, ess, unt. As I look at this, I do see some similarities between my ER verbs. I do have that ONS, OZ, UNT. I just have that ESS that goes with it as well. And then when I look over here, that definitely looks a little different than what I was familiar with seeing with my ER verbs. To help you remember these endings, we have une chanson. So I'm going to go ahead and play a song for you with our IR verb endings.
ISSONS, ISSOZ, ISSONT, ISISIT, ISSONS, ISSOZ, ISSONT.
So go through that in your head, rewind, repeat it. Songs often help us associate that meaning and help us remember it better. Also, this is a great one just to chant. Yes, but when I start to chant it, I go into the song. Yes, ite, ISSONS, ISSOZ, ISSONT. So whatever it is, write those endings down a whole lot. Commit those to memory. What's it look like now when I put it all together? So I want to take the verb finir, and I'm going to drop my ending so that I have fin, and I go ahead and input that all the way through. So I have my stem, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the appropriate ending. So for je, yes, tu, yes, il, elle, on, ite. Nous, iss, ons, vous, iss, ez, il, elle, pluriel, iss, unt. Now, how do we say this? These are all going to have the same pronunciation. Je finis, tu finis, il, elle, on finit. Fini, fini, fini. Over here, a little different pronunciation. Nous finissons, vous finissez, ils finissent, elles finissent. Encore une fois, nous finissons, vous finissez, ils finissent, elles finissent. We do hear that S because that double S before the vowel, we get to hear that S sound. That's why they're called the snake verb. Rewind that if you need to listen to the pronunciation of the verb finir again. Next, I want to take a look at the verb obéir, to obey, and it begins with a vowel. So think for a moment, what implications does this have when I go to conjugate my verb in terms of pronunciation and in terms of how I write it? Hopefully one of the things that you thought of was that I need to have the J apostrophe because the je before a vowel. It becomes j'obéis, tu obéis, il obéit, elle obéit, on obéit. Nous obéissons, vous obéissez, ils obéissent, elles obéissent. With that liaison, that Z sound there, nous obéissons, vous obéissez, ils obéissent, elles obéissent. And that's how we conjugate long IR verbs. As we close this out, I'm going to share one more song with you. Enjoy. Lots of conjugation of the verb.
Choisis, choisis, choisis. Choisissons, choisissez, choisissent. Fini, fini, fini. Finissons, finissez, finissent. Vos